Title: He Walked Out of Frame, and Never Returned. True story. Help this channel grow. Like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more stories. This helps us a lot. Thank you. The story begins: the Pacific Northwest is a very specific kind of quiet at night. Not peaceful. Not serene. Not soft. It is the kind of quiet that feels like something is listening back. Towering evergreen walls become silhouettes of teeth. Fog is not really fog, it behaves more like a presence. Air pressure is dense enough that even voices feel swallowed by it. That region of Oregon and Washington has entire stretches of forest where highways go silent for dozens of miles, where even wildlife goes unusually inactive after certain hours. That is where this story begins. This case was not old. It was not some urban legend passed down through forums from 2008-era creepypasta. This all happened in 2022. Digital era. HD era. An era where we believe everything is capturable. An era where live streams give us an illusion of safety, because if the internet is watching, then someone is watching. And yet, in this case, an entire global audience watched someone disappear in real time, and not a single pixel revealed where he went. His name was Ethan Merrow, 27 years old, experienced solo camper, amateur videographer, Pacific Northwest local. He had been broadcasting camping streams for about a year. He wasn't famous, but he had consistent mid-tier numbers. He was calm, rational, quiet. Not a trickster personality. Not a shock content type. He did not chase the paranormal. He just genuinely liked being alone in nature. His audience liked the authenticity, the no theatrics simplicity. That's why this event was so disturbing. Because it didn't feel like someone who was looking for something scary. This was a person doing what he does normally, and something abnormal happened anyway. The GPS ping log places him approximately 18 miles off Highway 6 west side. Deep evergreen territory. Very close to Oregon coastal fog zone but not directly on coastline. The area he camped had extremely limited cell repeaters, meaning connection was fragile already. Yet somehow, that night, the live stream stayed up. That is what people still cannot understand. Because the live stream quality was too good. The stream begins 9:42 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Ethan is sitting inside his small lightweight tent, lit by a soft blue LED lantern. He was using blue because it put less strain on battery life and reduced insect swarm. The blue lighting is what made this entire footage so eerily cinematic without trying. He is sipping coffee from a titanium camping mug. He is comfortable. He is normal. He is not afraid. These small details matter, because there was no pre-event tone shift. He mentions light rain starting. He mentions how the temperature dropped fast. He points the camera outside briefly. Fog is visibly rolling through the tree line. Chat comments are mostly active calm. People are asking questions about gear, recommending brands, talking about the storm system moving inland toward Seattle. Nothing is ominous yet. At 10:17 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Ethan pauses mid-sentence. He tilts his head slightly. He goes silent for about 3 seconds. He says, "Hold on, do you guys hear that?" Chat scroll changed immediately. People typed, "Hear what? What sound?" Ethan steps outside the tent with camera in hand, pointing out into the trees. Audio is dense with low wind but no specific anomaly. He says something extremely subtle. "That sounds like metal, or something dragging." He walked back inside. He tries to shrug it off. He tries to laugh. He tries to frame it as maybe an animal interacting with his cookware outside. Slight nervous exhale, but not fear. 11:02 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. He pauses again. Except this pause is longer. He freezes. Looks toward the tent zipper. He speaks quieter. "That is not an animal. And he stands up. The viewers know this moment. If you watch the clip raw, uncut, with no commentary, this is the moment everyone references online. Because this is the moment everything begins to feel like controlled dread. He places the camera back on tripod inside the tent. He points it toward the entrance. He leaves it rolling. He then steps out of frame, just barely to the left. You see his shoulder for 2 seconds. Then he is gone. He doesn't run. He doesn't panic. He just walks smoothly toward the outside. And he never returns. The camera stays recording inside the tent for 19 more minutes. Chat becomes chaos. People try to type instructions, call him back, ask what he is hearing. At 11:21 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the last visible movement occurs. Something brushes the outside walls of the tent. Not violently. Not aggressively. Slow. Measured. It causes the thin nylon fabric to indent inward slightly, like something walking calmly around the perimeter. Viewers describe it later like the shape of a person slowly passing by, but there is not enough contour detail to confirm species. There is no direct harm visible. No struggle. No contact with Ethan himself. The live stream disconnects at 11:24 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Feed cuts abruptly to stream error. No scream. No visual disappearance of the subject, because the camera never followed him outside. He simply never comes back into frame. He walked out of frame, and never returned. Local SAR was notified next morning at 6:17 a.m. by multiple viewers reporting a possible missing person situation during a stream. They provided his channel username, last GPS coordinate snippet, tent color, known vehicle location, a small Subaru parked near trail entry. Search lasted 6 days. Zero physical trace. Not even a dropped item. Not even a footprint deep enough to cast. Not even clothing fiber. For investigators, that is what makes this different from typical forest vanishings. Usually there is chaos, panic, a sprint, a trail of disturbance. This was surgical absence. He left calmly. You will never hear this part in official press releases. But several independent search volunteers stated something consistent. The forest that week felt unnaturally silent. Like wildlife evacuated a radius around that zone. And one volunteer said something chilling but logical. It felt like he walked into something we can't see, something that was already waiting. Forensic analysts continue to review the footage frame by frame. Audio engineers isolated low frequencies. Nothing has been proven, but something mechanical, faint, does register under 80 Hz in multiple segments. Not organic. Not natural wind pattern. Something metallic. This case is not paranormal. We are not inventing creatures. We are not claiming cryptid speculation. This is simply a documented disappearance that occurred during a real live stream, where thousands of viewers watched a man walk calmly out of frame, and never return. And the most disturbing part is not the moment he leaves. It's how calm he was right before it happened. The thing about digital disappearances is this. People assume there must be a trick. Especially online. Especially with creators. Especially with the new wave of forest horror edits. So the very first wave of reaction to Ethan's stream wasn't fear. It was denial, mockery, people assuming ARG, prank, marketing stunt. Even some small commentary channels tried to spin it as a fake publicity build for a film. Nobody, not even his core subscriber base, believed it was real at first. Thousands of people watched that final stream live, but because there was no scream, because there was no violent camera thrash, because there was no cinematic jump moment, the brain rejected the stakes immediately. The viewers assumed Ethan walked away to troll chat and planned to reappear after a tense pause. But the pause never ended. Not after 15 minutes. Not after 30. Not after 8 hours. Not the next morning. And then something happened that actually cemented the seriousness. He didn't post on anything. Not Instagram. Not Facebook. Not Discord. And the few friends he had in real life, they couldn't reach him either. Because of the size of the viewing audience, this became one of the very few missing persons cases triggered by online joint-reported digital witness escalation. Police normally would not dispatch search and rescue immediately because of a live stream. They require proof the person is physically in danger. Usually there is a 24-hour assumption window. But this case was different. Because the last known GPS ping plus the live footage confirmed that Ethan was alone, and based on tent interior, there was no exit pack grab. He didn't leave with gear. He walked out with nothing but whatever was in his pockets. That is not voluntary behavior of a rational experienced camper in that region. Not in November. Not at night. Not in coastal cold moisture. He was not suicidal. He was not manic. He didn't have any known mental breaks. So police escalated immediately. They closed access to the road. They put drones up. They used K9 units. Nothing. K9s didn't even track his initial direction. That means, either the scent was extremely quickly interrupted, or the terrain did not allow scent capture directionally at all. And that is where this case fractures away from logic. The raw 11-minute last segment, the static tent interior blue-lit shot, was reposted everywhere. TikTok clipped it. Twitter clipped it. Reddit broke it down frame by frame. People digitally tracked the small tent wall indentations. People isolated the low-frequency tonal hum. People tried to AI enhance the outside environment brightness. Nothing gave definitive answers. Every analysis actually made the ambiguity worse. Because the more people studied it, the more they realized how technical the silence was. Compression artifacts in the audio did not behave like typical cell tower degradation. The feed didn't degrade into glitch, it cut clean. This implies a complete signal interruption event. Not a slow drop-off. Not a battery drain. A surgical cut. That is when YouTube investigators started theorizing that it wasn't the forest itself that took him, but rather something in the forest that was interfering with electronics. When investigators dug backwards, not paranormal investigators, actual journalists, they found something quietly disturbing. That exact stretch of PNW Evergreen in Oregon has had 23 missing persons incidents since 1992, all unsolved, all lacking final trace evidence. The cases do not align with typical predator patterns. They do not align with typical voluntary disappearance patterns. They do not align with drug trafficking corridor patterns. They all share sudden vanishment. No struggle. No items left that help directionality. High fog seasonal coverage. Low wildlife presence during event time windows. These are patterns that do not define natural predation. This is the first time one happened while being recorded live. His sister broke public silence first. She gave a short press statement 10 days after he vanished. He would never walk away from camera and just disappear as a joke. Ethan wouldn't do that to people. He doesn't manipulate viewers. If he left that tent, it was because he heard something real. And this part is important for the psychological profile. Ethan was not someone who chases unknown noises. He wasn't thrill-seeking. He wasn't trying to debunk mysteries. He avoided risk. He only stepped out because he genuinely believed something, or someone, needed attention. This chapter is the part where any person watching this documentary story mentally tries to be logical and grounded. They slow down the tape. They think, there has to be a frame glitch. There has to be a shadow. There has to be a silhouette. But what makes this case terrifying is not a monster. It's the absence. It's the fact that the camera never shows a single thing that explains anything. Absence, by itself, is what generates the dread. Because if there was a clear explanation, this would be solved already. People began calling the forest zone, the quiet zone, the internet name, not official, but ironically fitting. Because every case there has the same silent signature. Every case exits reality without noise. Every case does not look like violence. Every case looks calm, before the void takes its place. Around week 5, federal agencies quietly got involved. That is not speculation, that was confirmed publicly through restricted document request timestamps. This means authorities believe Ethan's case may overlap with prior patterns. You don't escalate something to federal review unless there is pattern recognition larger than one missing camper. Which leads to this fundamental pivot. The horror of this case is not that one man vanished. It's that he vanished in the exact same method as dozens before him, but his disappearance was the only one digitally documented live, and it still did not reveal cause. Before investigators shut down public access to portions of that forest, a private independent team returned to the site secretly. They found Ethan's tent. Still standing. Still zipped closed. Still exactly upright. And inside it, sitting untouched, was the blue lantern. Still working. Still powered on. As if time inside the tent was frozen. And that detail is what sets up the next phase of the investigation, the part that breaks into the physical anomalies of the environment itself.